Good morning, folks. We're out here at Lake of Egypt and it is a cold morning. We've got bluebird skies. Air temps are like low 30s. It was kind of jumping between 27 and 35 on the way over here, just depending on where you're at. Water temps are 44.9 right now, and it's still dropping. In the marina it was 45.5. No, actually it was 46. And we're back here going into Clifty Creek, checking out these water temps, seeing how they're going to fluctuate. We've had a ton of cold weather lately. Yesterday it never got above freezing. Actually the last 2 days it didn't get above freezing. Just cold days, really cold nights. It's supposed to get up to high 40s today. We're gonna go out here and enjoy ourselves. It's gonna be a slow bite today. I'm aware of that, so I'm just gonna hunt and peck, and I will fill you in as I figure out what is going on and what's not going on. Day off, gotta go. Here we go. The toughest thing about wintertime is you got to really slow down. You got a lot of spots you want to hit, but if you're going too fast, you're not going to get bit. So it's real key to slow down. I'm just working this 1/2 ounce Cumberland Pro football jig on the bottom, just hitting these little creek channel drop-offs. There's a little bend right here, and there's some rock down there, and there's shad down there, and there's some fish. So I'm just slowing down, trying to keep it down there on the bottom in their face as long as possible to give them time to react to it. All right, I'll show you what I'm keying on here. I was just throwing this. It's a Cumberland Pro football jig in peanut butter and jelly color with green pumpkin speed crawl in the back. And we're in a creek. There's a little creek channel drop. So right here is 30 foot. And as I ease up here, you can see this ledge starting to come up. It's coming up now. There's bait on it. So it comes up here. There's a big drop off. And we're just kind of going down this bank and fishing that drop off. Just trying to stay around deep water to shallow water. Deep water to shallow water, just kind of transition areas. It's winter time. Water temps 44. It keeps bouncing between 43.9 and 44.1. So cold water. I'm always looking for transition spots where deep water comes up on a little flat or something. It's in the morning, so hopefully there'll be some fish up there feeding if you can get in the right areas at the right times. You got some wind blowing. I'm trying to stay out of the wind a little bit. And there we go. That's what I'm doing. Just kind of working down this creek channel. There we go. There we go. Got a fish on the Cumberland Pro football jig. There you go, guys. Fish on the Cumberland Pro football jig. Just a real subtle bite. That was fun. Like a good fish. There you go. Little fish. I saw that fish down there on the graph. Something you can do, like right here we got this fish on the bottom. Oh, there's some back here. Right here you can drop your shaky head straight down and just kind of drift up back away from them. So that's what we're going to do right now. And just drop this thing down and then let the wind push us back away from it. See if we can get one to react. Giving it some slack. Drift back here a little bit, get about 20 yards off of them. Try not to hit the trolling motor, because I mean they can definitely pick up on that. There he is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Better fish. Not much better, but it is better. We on them now, man. We on them now. Found a little group that's cooperating. Just gotta keep bouncing around. These fish are being stubborn. It's that little shaky head. Bait's kind of slow. I'm catching a few though. Nut. Yeah, little worm. Felt like a bite. Oh gosh, dang it! Broke him off. That was a big fish. Should have retied, Gabe. Should have retied. What's up, folks? I wanted to do this out on the water, but the wind was ridiculous. It was blowing like 20 miles an hour. There were gusts over 40, so there was no place I could find to get out of the wind to do some decent audio. But I want to talk to you today about winter shaky head fishing. That's right, shaky heads. Sometimes you got to get real super finessey to get some bites, and the shaky head is something that I've been playing around with for the last, well, forever. It just gets bites in those really, really tough situations. Sometimes those fish won't hit a jig, sometimes they won't hit a spoon, sometimes a jerkbait, a rig. It just, all they want is something really small like this little finesse shaky head, and you just got to slow down, get in the right area and relax and make it happen. There we go, fish on. Little bitty guy. Bitty guy, I think he hit that on the fall. The key is fishing really, really slow with this little shaky head. Typically I'm going with an 1/8 ounce or a 3/16 ounce. An 1/8 ounce when it's really, really calm out, sunny bluebird skies, no wind. I like that 1/8 ounce because it's got a really, really slow fall. I'm fishing that down to probably, I don't know, 15 to 20 feet. If I'm going deeper than that, then I will bump up to the 3/16 ounce. The other time I'll bump up to the 3/16 ounce is if I got some wind. If you got a nice windy day, you're going to need something that's a little bit heavier. And I typically stay with those two weights. I may go up to a 1/4 ounce, but it's very, very rare. I usually just stay with that 1/8 and 3/16 ounce. Some of the baits I like to use. Let's talk about the equipment first. 7-foot medium spinning rod. Yeah, sissy stick, upside down pole, fairy wand, whatever you want to call it. I like a spinning rod when I'm doing this finesse shaky head. You can do it on a bait casting rod if you're just bound and determined to not put a spinning rod in your boat. Maybe you think it's bad luck or something. It's like a banana. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it, but some people do. A medium 7-foot medium rod. This Veritas, if you guys throw the Veritas, this thing works good with like a 3/16 ounce shaky head. Definitely a 1/4 ounce. 1/4 ounce is when I will make that change from a spinning rod over to a bait casting rod. But 10 to 12 pound test if you're going with the bait casting outfit, 7-to-1 gear ratio reel, whatever you're comfortable with. But that will work just fine. But for me, I like to throw this sucker on a spinning rod. It also gives my arm a break. As far as the setup, I like a 7-foot medium rod, kind of a moderate fast tip, something that loads up good and I can pull into them. I like a 15-pound high vis braid, and I'm going to be tying that to about a 7-foot leader of 8-pound fluorocarbon. And here's kind of how I gauge the leader length. I like the knot to be right about before it goes into the bail. So let me show you what I'm talking about. This right here is about where I want my leader. Got your leader knot right there. I don't really like it to go into this and get around the reel, or actually on the spool and get around the line. Sometimes that can cause a little bit of problem coming off the spool. But that's what I'm looking about. And then it's gonna leave me about right here as far as where this worm's hanging off the tip. So, you know, the knot's right here and the worm's sitting there about a foot off the rod tip, which is about perfect. So that usually ends up being about a 7-foot leader. And you can still retie probably 3 times, 4 times with that before it starts getting really, really short. There's a bite. That's a good fish. Good fish, guys. Oh yeah. Nice fish. Nice fish. It's all spotted up. Oh, come on, get in here. Thank you. All right, there we go. That was good. Decent fish. The spots on that thing You know, I'm kind of limited on where I can fish. The wind's blowing like 20 miles an hour in this little aluminum boat. You got to stay out of it. So I just found a rocky area. It's a main lake bank. Got a channel kind of coming in, bumping along it. Deep water to shallow water transition area. The second bite I've had on this. I had one boat up for a second. He got off, but it's a nice fish. Love those markings on these things. Just throwing this little shaky head, 3/16 ounce with a little finesse worm, Zoom finesse worm. Got a little bit of chartreuse on the tail. 8-pound test. It is tough out here though. You really got to grind. I'm not finding shad up off the bottom. Everything I'm seeing is sucked to the bottom, so it's kind of got to slow down, just fish. Now, why do I like such a light shaky head in the wintertime? Well, a couple reasons. One, you get that really slow fall, especially with that 1/8 ounce head. I think a lot of times this thing is falling through those suspended fish and they'll follow it down, and after you move it a couple times, you'll get a bite. They like that kind of gliding action. And the second reason is it forces you to fish really, really slow. If you've got an 1/8 ounce head on there or a 3/16 ounce head, you're not going to be popping it really fast, just to keep bottom contact. Another thing I've been thinking about, and guys, leave comments on this. Let me know what you think about this. There is a different sound that an 1/8 ounce head versus, say, a 1/4 ounce or versus a 3/8 ounce head will make on the bottom of the water, bottom of the lake. If you think about this, you got this jig head hitting rock, okay? An 1/8 ounce jig head is going to be, it's a smaller, it's got less surface area, right? So it's going to cause a kind of a lighter tick on the bottom, a more softer tick, versus something that's like a 1/4 ounce or 3/8. So it's a softer, deader sound, more neutral, less alarming. I don't know if that's in my head, but I'm kind of wondering what you guys think about that. I was playing around with that ideal. So anyway, it's more finessey. I think it just forces you to slow down, and it also has that nice gliding action. And when you pick up on it, the 1/8 ounce kind of glides. You know, it's not as heavy, so it's not going to dig as much. When you pick up on it, it actually gives it a nice little gliding action. I think sometimes that action is what those winter fish look for. Uh-oh, got a bite. Got a bite. Got it. Right. Shaky head strikes again. Another shaky head fish. Talk to you a little bit about some of the baits I like to use in wintertime when I'm doing this finesse shaky head fishing. Some days it's the only way you can get bit. Not my favorite way to do it, but you gotta get some bites, you know. Water's 43 degrees and it's pretty slow out here. As far as the baits that I use, I keep it pretty simple. I got about 4 baits that I like. The first one that I'll play around with, this is typically what I start out with 95% of the time, and the only time I don't start out with that is if I've been on the lake and I'm going back to it and I was catching them on a different bait, then I'll start out with that bait on my trip. But brand new lake and I'm just starting out, this Zoom finesse worm. I like the watermelon candy or the green pumpkin in water that's 2 foot of visibility or clearer. If it's more stained than that, then I'll drop down, I'll change up to like a June bug color. But this is a great fish catcher. It's just a nice little bite-sized package, and that's what you want in the wintertime a lot of times. If they're not biting on that, I'm gonna jump over to a Zoom speed crawl and green pumpkin. You know, no secret there. This is a great bait. I mean, I always recommend, if you've seen any of my videos, you know I'm throwing this thing around. This is a confidence bait. It just catches fish. It catches big fish too. There we go, folks. Thing's all tatted up like you just got out of prison. Nice shaky head fish. Just throwing this little speed crawl today. But it's a great fish catcher. Just a little crawl, and I'm usually, when I got this going, I'm gonna bump up to that 3/16 because it's got a lot more surface area. The 1/8 ounce takes a lot longer to get down to the bottom, which sometimes is okay, but I typically, I'm gonna be bumping up to that 3/16 ounce on this. If the water's dingy, I'm gonna be going over to the June bug color. You see the pattern, it's like green pumpkin or June bug, so darker or natural. That's just the June bug speed crawl. Great, great bait. 2 different color options. You can even mix a black in there if you want to. Okay, so if that's not happening, and normally, I mean like 75% of the time, either that finesse worm or the Zoom speed crawl is gonna get you some bites. Typically, you don't have to search any further than that, but if you do, my next choice is gonna be the baby brush hog by Zoom as well. fish a lot of Zoom products because they're readily available, they're affordable, and the plastic's pretty durable. But I like the green pumpkin blue. Just this is an awesome fish catcher. All around, it just gets bites, you know. Sometimes they like something that's got a little bit more action, even though the water's cold. And I'm fishing this in, like, we're talking 48-degree water all the way down to 39-degree water, 38-degree water. Basically anything below, I don't know, 50, 48, something like that. That's what I'm considering this winter finesse shaky head fishing stuff. But this is another great bait. And the last bait I'll show you, which is kind of like the finesse worm, but it's actually kind of like a hybrid between a centipede and a Cinco, and this is the Zoom, the Fish Doctor. This is a great one. It's got this flat side, so if you want to rig it up with the flat side down, it has more of a gliding action. It'll actually move when you splash down. It can very easily glide, you know, 4 or 5 feet over to the left or the right. So it's got that nice gliding action, those suspended fish. It kind of keeps it in their face a little bit, especially if you're throwing it on an 1/8 ounce head. And I think I usually don't get them to commit to it while it's gliding. Sometimes it'll happen. Sometimes your line will just move off. But a lot of times, once it hits the bottom and you move it once or twice, they'll be on it. So I know those fish are following it down. If you want to fall a little bit faster, it's got this rounded side right here. You can put that down. It's got a little bit faster fall. I got one more thing to tell you. That right there is key. So this morning I've been fishing this little speed crawl on a 3/16 ounce jig head. The wind's been blowing a little bit, so I had to bump it up. And I've just been taking this spike it marker, chartreuse. I've just been hitting the tips of this thing. You know, you don't want to put it too much on there. Just a little bit of contrast goes a long way. And this stuff does two things. One, like I said, it adds contrast, but it also gives it some scent. And a lot of times in the winter, that little bit of scent goes a long way. You know, the fish are kind of lethargic, and anything you can do to entice a bite, you know, you got to do it. I really believe that scent makes a difference in the wintertime. The fish are kind of neutral most of the time, and anything you can do to change their mind, to make them commit to biting your bait, I think is a bonus. All I'm doing is barely touching the tip of this thing. So you're talking no more than 1/4 of an inch. You don't want to go real far down there. I just think a little bit of contrast goes a long way. So you're adding scent, you're adding a little bit of flash on there, and it's just something that catches the fish's attention and makes them commit to it. Oh, it might be a bite. Definitely a bite. Definitely a bite. It's on this little rock wall here. Fish is up there shallow. Look how fat that fish is. Dang. Little short, stocky sucker. Look at that, man. Dude's been working out. Little short, stocky guy. Caught him on that shaky head again. He was up shallow. That fish was in like 5 feet of water. Look how tall that fish is. Wow. Stud, man. It's been doing squats and stuff. Gotta do what you gotta do, folks. Catching these fish in about, now the boat's sitting in like 20, and I'm throwing up there in about 12 to 14. It seems like that's where I'm getting my bites at. Right underneath the boat. Oh, I got off. Dang it. You can see these fish on the graph right there. They're real close to the bottom. I'm just dropping that shaky head down on top of them. Uh-oh. Okay, I just dropped on that fish. Got him. Little fish. Not much, but it's kind of cool. I saw that fish down there and just dropped the shaky head. Grabbed it. Got it. Go. Hey, we're catching little scrubs today, but that's okay. It's okay. It's tough. There we go. That's the only thing I can get bit on is this shaky head. Just a tough day. Shaky head kind of saved it for me. Don't be scared of a shaky head in the wintertime. It gets a lot of bites when the fishing's really tough. If you got an area that you have confidence in, you're talking transition areas, points, rocky banks, you know, the 45-degree angle banks, but a lot of times it's where deep water comes up to shallow water. That's the kind of stuff you're focusing on. If you go through those areas and you're not getting bit on traditional baits like your jigs and your jerkbait and A-rig and stuff, I think if you go back through it with that light finesse shaky head and slow down, keep confidence, stay positive, I think you're going to pick up some extra bites on those really tough days. There's a bite. Got him. Looks like better fish. There we go. Oh yeah, it's a fat fish. Got a belly on that fish. Been eating good. Got those spots all over him. Hey, thanks for coming along. Appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell notification. Give me a thumbs up if you appreciate the content. It's slow out here today. Shaky head saved the day though. Until next time.